unmuted. I remembered, Eddie. All right, everybody, what's up? How are you doing tonight? I am Wayward Jessica, and tonight we are keeping it real with veterans. So I had an absolutely shit day. Like when I tell you everything and anything was going wrong, my back hurt, my head hurt, everything just hurts. And it was just it was not fun. People couldn't drive, everything, and that doesn't hold a candle to being a veteran in today's society in America. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to get into it right away and introduce our panelists because, baby, why wait, right? So first, everybody's favorite vegan, Lauren, the high vegan. How you doing tonight, babe?
Woo! Oh, am I mute? No, I'm not.
Nope, you
Hi,
good.
everybody.
Look, Eddie went ahead and texted me while we was doing the countdown. I was like, make sure your mic's unmuted. Look, I swear. I'm like, no, you didn't. Next up, we have TikTok's favorite no bullshit, no fucks given, Mr. Eddie Brock. How you doing tonight?
Woo!
What's up with it? I'm in the house like curfew. How we doing today, man? Let's get this thing on and cracking like old kneecaps.
Appreciate it. And we have TikTok's favorite Creole woman, Miss Nola Creole VB. Shut up.
I ain't nobody favorite.
You
be lying.
I might Creole be your woman favorite. Because you're my favorite Creole woman. I'm not arguing with you. How you doing tonight?
I might be your favorite. I ain't everybody favorite. I'm good. I'm good.
Don't make me argue with you. And of course, we have TikTok's favorite accomplice, Mr. Jolly Good Ginger. How you doing tonight?
What's up? How we doing?
I'm doing all right. So everybody here has something in common except for me, obviously. I'm just here talking my shit because that's what I do best. All of y'all are veterans. You have served this country. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for your service. And thank you so much for the sacrifices that you have made. Secondly, let's go ahead and get into introductions. So can we go around and you tell me what's your name, what branch of the military you served for in your MOS, and give me your favorite drill and basic. Don't look at me like that. I just see V going, bitch, do you think any of them were my favorite? Probably fucking not. However, I said what I said. Okay, fine. We'll go with favorite Disney movie. Favorite Disney movie.
Bet.
All right, who want to go ahead and go first?
I mean, I'll start off if nobody. I'll just get it started. So right. I was in the Army. I was in the Army for 13 years. Obviously, I planned on doing 20, but the things came up, so I got out of 13. I was a 35 Mike, which is a human intelligence collector. When I first joined the Army, it was 97 Echo, which the job title was interrogator linguist, and that appealed to me, interrogations and language. They later changed the job title to human intelligence collector, which is more encompassing of what we do. We basically, any methodology used to extract intelligence from humans, we did it. That included source operations, interrogations, strategic debriefings, a lot of stuff. And so that's what I did. And my favorite Disney movie, let me think. Is Shrek a Disney movie? Is that a Disney movie? Yeah, that's my favorite, like, cartoon movie. Everybody's saying no shit.
That's DreamWorks.
Oh, I don't know what that even means. I don't know. My kids. I gotta ask my kids.
All right. Who want to go ahead and go next?
Let's get the Army out the way. We can save the special branches for last, since they're the cream of the crop. You know what I mean?
Shots fired.
In the human resource department, because we can give away F-35 aircraft carriers and destroyers and battleships. I love y'all though. You know it's all good. It's all love. Eddie Brock. You know, Matthew Chappelle, 92 Mike, did 14 years. My job actually dealt with deceased people in our footprint. If we were in Iraq or Afghanistan, we ran a collection point away from everyone. and whoever died across DOD. So we dealt with not just only Army, but Marines, Airmen, the Navy, contractors, SF, joint coalitions, local national. So we had it all brewing. If your heart stopped pumping and you were in our area of operations, 9 times out of 10, my team and myself processed said individuals, annotated their equipment, their personal effects, conducted ramp ceremonies, coordinated with the Air Force to get them a flight, get the Angel flights out of country. Then stateside, we would rotate between Dover's Air Force Base, or Richmond, Virginia, the morgue there, and we would do autopsies. So we dealt with the Army or the DOD sector and the civilian sector. So dealing with death, and then also being in an infantry division, we did infantry stuff too. So there you have it.
Okay, I'm gonna go next.
Favorite Disney movie? Fantasia. There you go. Fantasia.
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, Lauren.
All right. Since we got, the lower ASVAB scores out of the way, let's get to it. I'm Lauren, the high vegan. U.S. Navy. I only did 8 years, 4 years active, 4 years reserve. I wouldn't the deuces. I was a bosun mate, boats all the way. That means not only was I driving the ship, not only was I handing out toilet paper and all of that lovely good stuff, I was making sure the decks were in place and the ship stayed looking haze gray while it was underway. I sat on the side of the ship. I hung from the side of that thing. I got to shoot a couple guns, but I was a deck. I was in the deck department. I got dirty. I got to work alongside the Marines. By the way, we have more planes than the Air Force. I just wanted to throw that out there. And my favorite Disney movie is The Princess and the Frog.
Hey, real quick. Despite me speaking 3 languages and having 2 college degrees on the ASVAB score joke, since we're talking about how many, you're talking about Navy having more planes than the Air Force, can we talk about how the Army has more ships than the Navy? Since we're having the
No, we the world famous Navy. We that for a reason.
The Army has more ships.
Hey, battle. I kept my mouth closed and let her walk right through that field block.
It's all love. It's all love.
Who got Navy?
Just lob it.
But listen, the only reason I know that. Listen, the only reason I know that little fact. A buddy of mine who was an interrogator with me. He was one of my soldiers. He's still in the Army. Went on to be a chief, and he became. He does something on ships, something crazy shit. But he told me, he said, "Hey, did you know the Army has more ships than the Navy?" I couldn't fucking believe it, but we actually have more ships than the Navy.
Y'all literally got one job.
I'm the one that they're gonna pick on all night because I'm Air Force, but since you're doing high ASVAB scores, you need to get the highest to get in. You gotta get that, you gotta hit that number. I was in transportation and supplies. So I worked in a warehouse for like 2 years, and then they made me clean guns for 1.5 years. Yeah, that was about it. That was job wise. That's all I did. That's why they call us the chair force. I know it's coming. It already came out before we got on. Favorite Disney movie? That's hard. I like all the Disney movies that I grew up watching, but I guess Lion King would have been my favorite movie. Oh, and my name is Vanita, even though it's not on there.
You can call her V. I do. Look, I just want to be in a group chat with the 4 of you, just so I can keep hearing the shade that comes out of y'all.
You have to add a Marine, because then it's going to be worse with.
Oh, yes. I love it when the Marines come on, because they used to work, they work for us. That's my joke all the time. Oh, y'all work for me. I go to the Department of the Navy. They be like, oh, the men's department. No. You still work for me.
Hey, let's be lucky no Marines are in here, because I just shut them down by saying they still need transport from the Navy. If it wasn't for, you know what I mean, the Navy, Marines would just be stuck ready to fight. It's like they have no transportation. They go to and from. And, you know, I have to be fair and impartial. You know, there's a lot of people, and Jolly can tell you, uh, that airborne and air assault, you know, they like to swing their junk out. And I always tell Air Force or airborne guys, you guys haven't been since shit since World War II and Vietnam. And I was like, and if you think about it, while you talk about your airborne, if it wasn't for the Air Force, you wouldn't be airship. So in short, you go down to air assault. Air assault is where it's at, because they're self-sufficient. My dad was air assault. They're self-sufficient, but yeah. So there you have it. Little
Can I
inside
just petty ass is here for all the shit talking. I'm here for all of it. For anybody that's new watching, my name's Jessica. I thought about joining the Army, but I never made it. That's about as far as my service goes. I serviced the military by not fucking joining because they would have whooped my ass. I talk way too much shit. So now I just sit at home. True, scouts have been busy since the 1800s. I'm Eric. Look, you want to hop on? You want to hear?
Talking about air assault. I'll tell you a funny story about air assault. So I was in air assault. For those of you who don't know, it means you basically fast rope out of helicopters. Fast rope, you know. I mean, there's more to it than that, but just for the real layman's term, it's basically getting on a rope and getting out of a helicopter. So anyway, I was in Korea, and unit I was with received a RFF, a request for forces, and they were very specific in the request for forces. They wanted somebody who had been deployed before. In the Army, we say deployed, we mean combat zone. The Air Force, they mean like they got a different duty station, right? So like in the Army, and I'm not even fucking trying to be funny with that shit, but like my cousin.
No, I'm laughing because it's true.
my cousin joined the Air Force, and he'd been in for a few years. He's like, I've been deployed 6 times. I'm like, bro, how the fuck you been deployed 6 times? It's been 3 years. Kind of find out like everything's a deployment, right? In the Army, we limit that word to like combat. But anyway,
range.
Yeah, downrange, 2-way range, right? When you shoot the targets, they shoot back. So, but anyway, we got a request for forces and saying like, hey, it's got to be an NCO, got to be deployed before, and it was from 1st Special Forces Group. Special Forces Group, that's the who motherfuckers who do all the cool shit. So my unit's like, hey, Russ, we're gonna send you. I was like, all right, cool, I'm with it. Let's roll. So it took me like a couple weeks to get there, because you got to go and I got to get fucking all my shit the first group wanted me to have. And then I'm traveling by myself and I go to Kuwait. I'm stuck there for a few days. Then I finally get with first group in Iraq. It's been like a 3-week journey. And I'm talking to the NCOIC where I'm assigned. And he's telling me basically what we're going to be doing. What we're going to be doing is what's called TST, time sensitive targets. So anytime that they receive intelligence that there's a time sensitive target anywhere in this basically fucking northern Iraq, we had a pretty big AO, then we were going to jump on a bird and fly. Bird's a helicopter. We're going to jump on a helicopter and we're going to fly to said location and we're going to fast rope into this motherfucker and, execute the target however it falls out. We're going to hopefully not kill a lot of people and then interrogate whoever lives. And my job was to interrogate whoever lives. Anyway, he's telling the story and I'm listening. I'm like, this is fucking interesting. So he gets done. Any question? I'm like, yeah, really big question. I'm not air assault qualified. And he fucking shits the bed. Oh, what the fuck? So apparently on the fucking RFF, on the request for forces, they were looking for somebody air assault qualified. And like they're now in a fucking dilemma. Like I made all the other qualifications. I'm an interrogator. That's what they wanted. I'm an NCO. That's what they wanted. I've been deployed before. That's what they wanted. But I'm not fucking, And so like there's this whole dilemma. And I was like, hey, sorry, just like teach me how to jump out of a fucking helicopter. Because motherfucker, we're not doing that shit. I'm like, yeah, just show me. Like, combat expediency. Let's go. So he's not about this life. There's some back and forth. Long story short, the lieutenant colonel, so like in the special forces, lieutenant colonel is kind of in charge of a couple operational detachments. Anyway, he made the decision. He's like, fuck it. let's teach them how to rappel. So no bullshit. In the middle of fucking Iraq, I literally got like a crash course in how to fucking rappel out of a helicopter, even though without actually doing it out of a helicopter. And then I went on to complete this deployment with First Special Forces Group, and 64 missions I went on, and we fast roped out of a helicopter. And every single fucking time, I 183,000% planned on fucking falling out and dying. And it's funny because I tell that story too, since I'm already on that story. There's a device you receive, a special device you receive for your Iraqi campaign medal if you fast rope into combat, airborne jump into combat, or if you amphibious assault into combat. It's called the Arrowhead device. It's not very well known. Not a lot of people know about it. And I have the Arrowhead device, and people always say, "What the fuck is that?" Oh, I fast roped into combat. That shit sounds really fucking cool when you say it that way. You know what I mean? But I fast roped into combat without being air assault qualified. So
and you know what's crazy? I want to add on to that. You know what's crazy, Battle, is if that was conventional army. You know how many heads would have rolled?
Oh God!
But because you was SF,
that's so true. Yo, that's so true.
Because you was in that group, that lieutenant colonel covered everything, and that is one of the beautiful things about working. Because we had chances to work with certain groups, like I think in Afghanistan, 10th group was out there, and just how we did things, it sort of mirrored that. Because when we were in our collection point, it was just the NCOIC. Like we legit had to talk to General Austin, Secretary Austin now, Lloyd Austin.
Right.
When we were downrange, he was the 4-star general out in Kuwait, and that's who we went to. Like if there was any problems, we can call him. But yeah, that's an awesome story. It's just funny that they actually let you do that, because in conventional army they'd have been like,
"It's so true. It's so true what you're saying.
Cut you orders again, get you back." But for a first group to do that for you, that's fucking dope, man.
They didn't want to. So their whole dilemma was, you send me back and wait for another fucking motherfucker. It could be 2 months before you get a feel. And they only did like 6 to 8 month deployments, and they're out of there. You know what I mean? And to prove your point, I was with the group, and some shit. I'm not gonna go into detail. Some shit happened on a mission that probably should have went a different way. Like probably could have happened differently. And me personally, I'm thinking, oh man, like motherfucker, somebody could go to jail for this shit. And then we get back to base, and then I meet for the first time. Meeting, I actually seen the guy walking around the little our little hole in the wall in Iraq where we lived, but I didn't really know what he did. And he's like, all right, come tell me what you saw, but don't listen. Just tell me. I'm gonna write some shit down. So I told him. He wrote some shit down, not really what I said. And I was like, don't mind me asking, what do you do? He goes, I'm the one that makes sure nobody goes to jail. And that's what he does. He was the legal guy. So his MOS was he was illegal, but he worked with group. And he wrote the reports, so the reports reflected how reports should be reflected. And it's just, I've never seen anything like that before. Not conventional army.
Jessica, before you say something, what he's talking about, I'm so familiar with. I'm sure Lloyd may be familiar with it, but this is the stuff that civilians have no idea about, like the things that really go on. Like if he wouldn't have had a top secret, he wouldn't have been able to go to group. So to have that top secret, you can be in environments and you get a look at some shit. Like when we see shit, I'm sure when Jolly and I and Lloyd maybe see shit on the news that the media tells us, 9 times out of 10 we're like, yeah, nah, we don't feel the same.
Yeah, it's definitely what they want, the message they want to get across.
Yeah.
Look, and you can tell. You can tell. I don't know if anybody was paying attention, but you can tell. Well, Jolly was telling his story. If you look, you see everybody else. You see everybody who has served. It's just like, so that tracks. That sounds about right. And I'm sitting there like, what? Like freaking out. So clearly, much respect to y'all.
If I remember, because I know you want to push through the show. If I can remember, I'm going to share something that my father told me he did in Vietnam that blew the lid off what we were taught, what I believed, what I thought the government was. I'm beginning to share the story more because I just tell you this, my dad was with 5th Group. in Vietnam. He was air calf. He was with Blue Ghost. That's why my call sign on everything is Blue Ghost, because it's my dad. It's the patch I have on my plane carrier. Later on in the show, I'll share with you a story my dad told me that made me hurt and understand to truly embrace his demons. To get closer to my dad, I had to embrace his demons. And he told me that story. And I fought those demons for a long time. And then I start seeing some things with the government, and it solidified. So go through your show and just remind me, and I'll share that story.
Okay, for sure. Real quick before we get into the next topic, I want to go ahead and introduce Lloyd DA Select, who is also a vet. He hopped on here. Lloyd, do you want to
while he eating? Hopped on while he eating. Just no manners. Just no motherfucking manners.
Y'all need manners here. Come on now.
Hey, hold on, real quick. I thought this was military. You know what I'm saying? If you want to do all that civilian stuff, do all that civilian stuff. But hey, check it out. Honestly, got true, and I have my Sergeant E5 promotion board on the hood of a Humvee with four NCOs around me eating chow was my promotion board for E5. So true story. What? I'm just saying.
Nah, I believe you. I've heard about soldiers that gotta eat. I've heard about that shit. The rest of it just fucking.
Yeah, I'm
familiar. The rest of it just fucking. The rest of it just trucked through it. You know what I'm saying? But I heard about y'all that needed to get food and shit.
No. Hey, I'm talking about in the field. It was a field board on the hood of a Humvee. Hey, hood of Humvee. They talking about. Hey, they called me out and said, hey, it's like Specialist Kirkendall, you got to come out here. I said, what's going on? Well, your promotion board got to be turned in by tomorrow. I'm like, so what do you mean now? If you want to get promoted to sergeant, you got to go through a board.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they're going to take me out. It's like, no, we got some NCOs right here. Sergeant Majors, I'm doing something, so you're going to do your board right here. Sergeant First Class Dale Ripple was the president of the board. He called some other NCOs. I literally have my promotion board on the hood of a Humvee in the field.
Hey, field expediency, bro.
Can I just say that this is the most chaotic panel I have ever had in the first 30 minutes, and it is automatically my favorite. I am here for this. Yes.
Hey, we got a VA collection. We got a VA percentage collective of probably 500 right now, right?
No, Jolly needs to do that. At least. Hey, if Jolly was telling that story, and we was like this, then he's shaky. But since we're like, Anthony, go ahead.
Look, no, I was just gonna ask for you to go ahead and introduce yourself, give us your MOS, and what branch of the military you served in, and then give us your favorite Disney movie.
Wow, that's a good one. Disney movie, and I can get that out of me. I don't watch Disney, but I'll try and I'm gonna do it backwards. I guess if I have to go with Disney, was Aladdin Disney? Then I'd have to say Aladdin because I haven't watched too many Disney movies. But I came in as a 13 Echo, which is basically I do the math for the field artillery to make sure that round goes down range. I was United States Army Field Artillery. Like I said, I was air assault rappel master. I actually taught pre-air assault school while I was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I went to Sabotage Rappel Master Air Assault School at Fort Campbell. My actual air assault wings actually came from Fort Drum, New York, which, anytime want to be air assault people, they're already harder than the real air assault people because they're wannabes. All right. So after that, I retired out the military after 21 years as a Sergeant First Class. Could I have made the 8? Yes, I could have, but I took the wiser choice to get out. I turned 40 years old. They did my 40th physical, found out that I had diabetes, and they asked me right down the spot, do you want to do a med board or stay in and fight it? I said, looked at everything. I said, you mean med board? They're like, yeah. And so just real quick, I'm sorry, I'll make this real fast. At 15 years, I took what you call, I took $30,000 from the Army at 15 years. And because you're given an option, if you re-enlist at 15 years, you get $30,000. So to recover my retirement, I actually had to do up to 24 years. So I'm ready to do 3 more years so I can get my 50% back up to retirement. But they say, you know, if you med board, you get your 50% back right away because it's not your fault. I was like, really? They're like, yeah. I said, med board me right now. And that's why I got out at 21 years. So there you go.
I would have done the same shit, yeah.
I heard the word around the campfire is that the reason why you got your E7 because you was up at Fort Drum. If you go to Fort Drum, that's an automatic E7, right?
Brother, I never been stationed at Fort Drum, so I couldn't.
Oh yeah, you went. I thought you said your wings came from Drum.
Yeah, you said you got your airsoft wings at Drum.
Yeah, I got my airsoft
See,
wings.
we was listening, motherfucker.
Yeah, so I thought you asked up at Drum, man. Shit.
What the fuck? Hey, what you had a layover flight? Hey, he had a layover flight in New York. Got some wings.
Oh, there you go.
This needs to be a group chat.
No, he went up there drinking fucking Red Bull. That's what his ass did. That's how he got his wings, man. Shit.
Flew up that motherfucker. Flew up.
This needs to be a group chat. I swear. So I want to talk about first. How was your experience while you were in the military, from basic to discharge? Just give us a few words, kind of generalizing your experience. I would love to hear from the women first, seeing as women are from what I know very disrespected in the military, very overlooked. The military is supposed to be, you know, a man's game. So I would love to hear from the women first, and then guys, I'll go ahead and get to y'all. Ladies, how was your experience?
Okay, so as he doesn't know, I'm Navy. So boot camp was totally different. At first I went in there like, I don't know who the fuck they think they talking to, but they not talking to me like that, not the hell. But the Navy, they basically break you down to build you back up the Navy way, make sure you're working as a team. I beasted through boot camp. They were surprised that I used to get, we call them chits, the good chits when I was walking through. Like, you have to say, yes, petty officer, no, petty officer, yes, petty officer, you know, that type of stuff when you're in boot camp as a sign of respect. And then if one of the RDCs saw you out and like you see the blue rope, if you see the blue rope out, that mean they out, they searching, and they can hit you with one of the bad shits or one of the good shits. And they used to be surprised every time I used to bring a good one because I got a mouth. So when I got to my first ship was the USS Forrest Sherman, DDG 98, Ollie Burt class. That made me become a dirtbag. Like, I hated it on that ship. And I don't know if it was because I was young and dumb, or because of the things that were going on the ship. It could have been both. But when I first got there, it was a totally different experience from boot camp and from A school. And it was like a reality check. I'm in a different world. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and you come into the military and you around all these people who from the South. You not really seeing people who up north like you are, and they asking you off top, it's Black people in Milwaukee? And you like, where you at? Like, where you been? You ain't never heard of the Great Migration?
I promise we're here.
Right, like, yes. Do you not know where Black people of the South had to go when, you know, like, I'm a descendant of slaves. Where do you think that we went? So it became a little traumatizing because now I'm having to find who I really am. I'm already self-conscious. I'm already you know, can't too much stand myself. And now I'm in a whole different world where people now questioning my Blackness because I'm up north. So I just looked for where I could fit in. I was trying to fit in. I was always trying to fit in somewhere, and I just couldn't fit. I did face some sexual advances from chiefs. I remember a chief telling me how him and his wife were looking for a toy. or like a new person to add into the mix. And while we were going through the Panama Canal, like it take you a long ass time. Like it take you a couple of days in order to get through the Panama Canal, because you gotta wait for the rise of the water, the fall of the water. It's other ships trying to get through. Y'all trying to get through too. When you out there on the tin can, is you around these same people every day, and it's not a lot of us on this small ass boat. Everybody know everybody. You about to go crazy. You losing your mind. From 3 months to 9 months to almost a year at a time, you stuck on a tin can. I ended up breaking my ankle on that ship. Got off, went to shore duty. That's when I learned I had a secret clearance. I didn't have no top secret. Y'all can have that. I had a secret. I'm good at being mediocre. And that's where I got a more sense of family. It was people from all walks of life, but I also started to tell people I was from New Orleans. I started to tell people I was from New Orleans, imitated the sound and everything. Overall, I think that I didn't take advantage of being in the Navy like I should have. I didn't appreciate what it had did for me, because coming out of the military and trying to adjust into being a civilian, it's a harsh reality. And then you also are like, man, they really don't give a fuck about us being veterans out here. Um, I'm on my own. Like how do I survive? Where do I go? Where do I start? Granted, I went to school for multiple things. I got a couple of things under my belt. But after the military, like when you join the military, you in the largest gang of the world. You basically joining and listening to the largest gang in the world. And once you out, like you still appreciate it, but it's a little harder when you get out. That's just my opinion and from my perspective.
I appreciate that. And I also appreciate you being so honest about the harassment that you had to endure. That's something that has kind of been a resounding pattern, is that women who serve, um, they have stories like yours. They're either attacked or they're harassed. Um, and it's sad, really, and I appreciate you for being open about that and willing to talk about that, because that's something that we don't talk about enough. V, you want to go ahead and give us your rundown of your experience?
I sure. So I joined the military. I was supposed to leave the weekend Katrina hit New Orleans. So I was in the MEPS building that Friday. They sent us to Dallas that Saturday, and New Orleans was hit that Sunday. Um, I was away from my family for like 3 months before I even went to basic training. My family ended up going to Dallas because my sister at the time was suffering from cancer, so they went out there for treatment since the hospital in New Orleans was still closed. And October 18th, I left for basic training, I want to say it was. So I went from Dallas to Alabama to go to San Antonio, which I thought was stupid as shit, but whatever, military, okay. Basic was pretty easy for me up until like the last week. I was in band flight because I played the piano. So yes, y'all can make all the jokes y'all want to make later on. I'll take them with
Roger
pride.
that.
I will take them with pride. A bitch played the cymbals. I was back there like this. We got to leave every weekend, so we had fun in band flight. I went to my tech school also in San Antonio. I was then sent to Virginia, and I was there for maybe like 6 months, 7 months, and I was sexually assaulted. So at that time, I spoke up. I've always been somebody that has been one to speak up. So I did speak up at that moment. We went through like a 6 to 8 month court process, found out that I had gotten pregnant, lost a baby. So they ended up telling me while I was in, you can either drop charges against this man and we can send you to another base, or you can continue to fight and you can stay here, which working next to this person, because we were also in the same unit, same building, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. I said, okay, drop charges, let me go. Send me a little bit closer to home, anywhere from Florida to Mississippi, I'll take it. I don't care. So just get me away from this situation. So I got stationed at Keesler Air Force Base right here in Mississippi, 45-minute drive from New Orleans. Suffering from PTSD from what I had dealt with at my previous base. Ended up getting into some shit when I was in New Orleans a couple of times. They ended up at about 4.5 years discharging me with a general under honorable condition discharge for drug abuse because I was abusing the Xanax that they had prescribed me. I dealt with the VA for about 4 years after getting out with absolutely no help. Not until I was pregnant with my daughter that I have now, who is 6, that I was able to get my benefits that I was discharged for. So I have a very different experience from the military. I do love everything that I learned while I was there, even through the trials that I went through on the personal side. The family that I made from being in the military, I completely adore. I love the fact that I can say I am a veteran, and I hold that with pride as well. And I take all the Air Force jokes you can give me. I even call myself the Chair Force because I did sit at a chair for 95% of my life.
Chair Force.
And that's my experience.
Chairborne Ranger, chairborne.
Look, Chair Force. Do I get to say it?
Go ahead, girl. I don't care.
No.
She said no. All right, I ain't gonna say it. Anyway, I really appreciate you telling your story. I know you've told it here on this platform before, but the amount of courage it takes to tell it every time you tell it. And I really appreciate it. And I think it's very important that you have told that story today. And hopefully that will convince others to... Who is this?
See what?
Hold on. Somebody just... I don't know who it was, and I only sent mine to y'all.
Oh, was that Jay? Was that Dr. Fingers from the Marines? Did someone invite Jay?
Did you? No, they left out right away.
I know
someone didn't invite Jay.
To somebody
that looked like Jay. Did one of y'all send Jay the link? Who sent Jay the link?
Who sent the link? Y'all gotta tell me when you send links.
I'm saying it looked like Jay, but one of them had to send the link.
That's my bad. That's my bad. I wanted to share so they can watch, not join. I'm sorry. I'm high. I fucked up. My bad. I gotta go to the YouTube. I gotta go to the YouTube. I'm sorry. I gotta go to YouTube and get the copy link. I'm sorry. I was thinking like, no, just a person who wants to get into podcast. I wanted them to be able to watch it so they can absorb and see what's going on. My bad. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no, that's no problem. I was just like,
that looked like Jay.
Oh, your tooth fell out.
But
I just want to say, with them low ass VAP scores.
My kid's tooth just came out.
I do want to say something with V's story though, but since we're on the topic, because V talking about how she was sexually assaulted in the military, I also appreciate that you had the courage to tell that story, because that is something that needs to be, that is one of, in my opinion, the biggest thing that needs to be addressed in the military. Because let me just tell you how the military treats sexual assault. Because it is predominantly male, because there's more men than women in the military, the general, what's the word I want, the general frame of mind, I guess you could say, is that most women are lying. That's the general frame of mind. When you hear someone say they were sexually assaulted and or raped and or whatever, um, around the unit, the first thing that goes through the ranks is, well, she's lying. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's how it's spread. Like, it's so common. And even when I was in, it used to piss me off. And not to sound like I'm some kind of fucking superhero, but I just never understood, like, why we don't just believe the woman. Like, why the fuck would she just say that? But there was so many men, I mean, lots too, and very open, because this environment was conducive to men. It was an open conversation. This wasn't a behind the scenes conversation. It was, oh yeah, well, my buddy so and so, this old girl says he raped her, but he didn't. And then this other guy, and there's like, everybody knows 100 stories of men that women falsely accused, and that's the general consensus. And that is not just true in the enlisted ranks. The fucking leadership thinks that shit too. So when a
Hell
woman
yeah.
says that she was sexually assaulted, harassed, or raped, she's guilty till proven innocent. You prove to us that you're not, crying wolf here. And that is why so many fucking women in the military either don't report it or get the fuck out after it happens. You know how many women got out of the military simply because they were sexually assaulted, harassed, and then nobody did shit for them? Like, fucking nobody. And then if you try to be a guy who stands up and says, this is wrong, we need to listen to these women, then you're fucking ostracized. Now you're going to be a fucker. There's a target on your back. This is a big, big deal in the military. And these cases that's made it to the national news of women who have been raped or murdered because of this, that didn't change anything. The military didn't change how they operate. And the problem is that misogyny and patriarchy are the standard in our society. That's the standard. Just like white supremacy, whiteness is the standard. And so that's where racism comes from. Same thing with sexism, because patriarchy and misogyny is the standard. And when you go into the military, which is 70% male, it's a male dominated mindset, and it's fucking gross. Because let me tell you something, men, I mean, as a man, and I'm sure Eddie and Lloyd can attest to this, you'll sit around and hear other guys tell stories of their weekend ventures, and I can literally listen and be like, dude, that's sexual assault you just told us about. Like, you just fucking told me you raped somebody, so now I'm gonna go report your ass, and you can meet me out back, and we can fucking throw hands if you got a problem. But like, it's such a fucking common thing that men feel comfortable just fucking doing it and then talking about it and then swearing to God, no, it's not. She was consensual. You just told me she was too drunk to even walk.
Yeah,
right?
they normalize it, battle. It's
They
normalized.
normalize it.
It's normalized behavior. From South Korea is when I learned the game. Like, South Korea, when I got to South Korea, I guess who I was able to just Korea, and I'm sure Jolly can attest. If you've been to Korea, Korea is number one different than stateside. Korea is like college. It's like party.
Facts.
It's like party. You go there. I mean, I was at strip clubs with my sergeant major. We may or may not have partaken in some things that a sergeant major in the E4 shouldn't partake in. First sergeant, everyone was fucking everyone. However, with that being said, with a drink called soju, there was a lot of cases. Like, I mean, no one going off fucking post cases. So, yeah, you hear the talks, man. It's brutal. Like, my cousin, my wife, all of them been in the army, and all of them been sexually assaulted. You you learn these things. Like, you learn if a woman's drunk, even if you guys were supposed to hang out and like y'all know y'all getting ready to whatever. If she pass out and you still carry out the mission, dude, that's rape. And
Facts.
people don't know these things. People are so uneducated. But like I mentioned, when you normalize this toxic masculinity and you look at these women as just whatever, man, I'm telling you, that's it's one
And
of the
then on top of that, not to cut you off, but on top of that, what he's saying, not only is it the way it's normalized is when you see another motherfucker who everybody knows is guilty of sin walk away almost unscathed.
yeah, yeah, man. Especially now, different strokes for different folks, but I can tell you, I've known a couple. God, I'll share a story. I won't say a name. Uh, Female was assaulted. The guy broke into her house. When she got there, he was there, roughed her up, the whole nine. She went to go file charges to Sharp, to the Sharp rep. Sharp rep was like, he on the square. Like, he a 33rd degree Mason. We shit like that. Like, so
Yeah,
he on the
that's true.
square. He, like I've seen people like, you're married, sir.
Yep.
Move somewhere else. This poor soldier is traumatized. And you know what's fucked up? This is what pissed me off. These female soldiers go through this shit. They stand up. They stand up like, no, I'm gonna fight. We gonna do this. She goes on her path and she gets shitted on. You got CQ. You got CQ. Yep. You got CQ. I just had you got CQ again. Oh, you going to the range. They just bombard them with mistreatment.
And what they'll do too is every single thing that female soldier does, everything they'll blow it out of proportion and document it.
Oh.
So now by the time it gets to a trial, well, now we can show you how she ain't got no good character anyway.
Yeah,
She's been in trouble every weekend.
Definitely
Yeah,
facts.
exactly.
They actually, after what happened to me, they actually put me in anger management for 12 weeks. I was put, I still was working with him, so I was put in classes with him because Air Force, you got to take a test for everything. So I had already worked with him, never had to take a class with him. After that, I had to take a class with him every week. I had to do, like I said, anger management classes. I had to go to a therapist who did not want to hear anything I was saying. It wasn't like real therapy. It was like, so what did you do to provoke this? Walk to my dorm, bitch. That's what the fuck I did. What did you do?
Right.
Like I was
literally,
literally
I didn't say nothing.
Full BDUs walking to my dorm and got dragged into his room.
I'll tell you a true fucking story for everybody to understand truly. I want everybody to understand truly what V's talking about here. So whenever you come back from deployment, for non-army, that means combat. When you come back from combat, you have to catch up on all your quarterly training that you couldn't do while you were downrange. Now, I understand that some soldiers can do it because they had a little bit better deployments than me and nice cush offices, but we couldn't. So we had to do all of our training in one pop when we got back. And so at the time I was a staff sergeant, and what's funny about it is we just got back from Iraq and had a change of command. It was a really weird situation, but our company commander was literally not the same company commander we had downrange. It was weird. So we're in this training, and one of our training we had to do was a SHARP training. That's what Eddie was just talking about, SHARP. That's sexual harassment and rape prevention, if I remember correctly what it stands for, something like that. But basically, sexual harassment and rape that's pretty much what SHARP is. So we're in this class, and what happens is they break us up into little groups, and they give us a scenario. The scenario was basically, girl with her friend goes to party, guy with his friend goes to party. A bunch of things happen. He ends up going home with the girl who's too drunk to give consent, and then basically rapes her. And so, as he tells us the whole scenario, what we're supposed to do as a group, there's 6 people involved in the story. We have to write down who the onus of responsibility falls on. Number 1 being the most responsible, and number 6 being the least responsible. So everybody got together and did our little group assignment. And then at the end of it, the guy giving the class asked us to go around each group and read off our list. And I was a staff sergeant, so I was like the leader of my group. So he called my group first, and I'm the representative for my group, so I stand up to speak. And I labeled off the first 5. Number 1 being the rapist because he holds the most responsibility. And then I got to number 5 and I said, that's the end of my list. He goes, well, what about Sarah or whatever the girl in the story who got raped? I said, well, my group has refused to assign any responsibility to the fucking person that was raped. And he was like, well, and he literally was trying to convince me that she at least was number 6. And I was standing my ground. No, she's not number 6. She's not responsible for her own rape in any way, shape, or form. I refuse to accept this. My company commander, true story. My company commander stood up and said, Sergeant Ellis. I'm like, yeah. Outside now. What the fuck? How the fuck am I possibly in trouble? So I go outside. I'm like, what's up, sir? What the fuck are you arguing with the instructor for? I said, because he's dead ass wrong. A woman who got raped is not responsible for her own rape in any way, shape, or form. Not number 6 on the list. She's not on the list. And he says, go to my office and wait. A few minutes later, first sergeant and commander are there, and they're ready to lay into my ass. Like they're fucking commander's pissed because I'm arguing with the instructor. So I told him, I said, let's take this shit up the whole chain. Let's roll. I'm ready to rock. Kick me out the army. Take my whole rank because I'll fucking die on this hill. And because I was so adamant about it, they kind of let it go. But this is literally, I want you to understand what was happening. Because I refused to assign any responsibility to the woman who got raped. I was fucking front and center, fucking Sergeant Ellis reporting as ordered in front of my goddamn commander and first sergeant being chewed out for having the audacity. And I'll be honest with you, like I understood that rape culture was a thing in the military, but until that point, and I think I've been at like 8 years at that point, I didn't realize how ingrained it was. My commander and first sergeant couldn't even understand what I was saying. Like they couldn't grasp the point I was making. That no, the woman who got raped, even if she's the bottom of the list, isn't on the list. And they couldn't understand that. So then when you translate that same commander and that same first sergeant, this same leadership are the ones that are going to handle the case, like what V's talking about when she reports it. You think they're going to understand? No, they're going to assign some level of responsibility to the victim. And they're even going to demonize the victim until you can prove to them without any shadow of a doubt that you're actually a victim. And it's fucking gross.
Check this out. So I'll share something with my wife because my wife went through the ringer. Like my wife, like most women have been like, you know what? I'm out. This is before we were together, before I met her. This was just her telling me some of the stuff she's been through. She was assaulted in her barracks room, right? Now we have curfew. Curfew is midnight. The incident happened at 10. Long story short, guy made it in advance. She said no. He pushed her. She fell into the railing. Like she fell out her room, railing, boom, hurt her lower back. She told everyone. First sergeant was like, you shouldn't have nobody in your barracks room after hours. And she was like, it was like 10 p.m. Like she went directly, platoon sergeant downplayed it. Everyone downplayed it. And she's like, like, what the fuck? So here we are, years down the line at Fort Riley. She has this NCO that's in charge of her. That's just like, I used to, once I was out, because my transition started getting to the Army, like November, I was done. My wife had until February until she was done. So I'm a civilian now. And I'm like, I'll roll up there and knock his ass out. Like, it ain't got to worry about much. You know what I mean? But come to find out, this dude was moved from one company for sexual assault, you know what I'm saying? Like he was under investigation and they moved this dude to another company and had a fucking female as his soldier. Like what the fuck they do that at? Like he was not supposed to be around any fucking females whatsoever. So like Jolly's, and I'm sure DA is going to get involved, but women are not only treated wrong, but they're shitted on. Like and then in the comments, some of the women shit harder on other women. You know what I mean? Like dead ass serious. Like I tell you, when I say there is a problem in the military with rape, assault, and sexual assault, the NCO Cree says I would not use my rank, profit, pleasure, personal safety, something to that effect. These motherfuckers are using a rank. You know, use their rank. That like if you on a square, use your rank.
Not just theirs.
The whole fucking line. These females, man,
Yep.
like I told my female soldiers, look, if something happened to you before we go to first sergeant, you come to me and we're gonna fuck dude up. Because now dude's gonna be like, he gonna go to first sergeant. What you gonna tell first sergeant that you did this, or you got into a scuffle?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's how I used to get down. My female soldiers come see your squad leader, and we'll go to that dude wherever he at. We'll fuck him up because when he go to first sergeant, he gonna either have to say I beat his ass and why I beat his ass, or he ain't gonna say nothing. So you know, it needs to be addressed. Sharp is full of shit. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked. It's just.
I mean, we could no bullshit. It's so bad. We could have a fucking 6-hour show on just that. No shit.
Yeah, I just want to ask this question. I want Lloyd to answer it first because he hasn't really talked that much. But would you say from y'all's experience and seeing these things happen, would you almost say that the military has this kind of mindset where this was a man's world? Y'all wanted gender equality so bad, so now you got to kind of pay the rape tax if you get sexually harassed or sexually assaulted. But that's what you asked for because you asked to come into a man's space.
Well, by the time
by like the chain of command, not individual.
I know, but you know what I'm saying. But by the time they allowed women to come into male units, I would say a lot of that mentality was cleaned up. When I say that mentality cleaned up, they did a lot of training for people who are gonna who never, because I was Field Artillery. Field Artillery is combat arms where we did not have women in Field Artillery until like my last 4 years before I got out. No women was ever in our unit. It was always the all male unit, and so when getting women in, and I'll tell you this: if the person with rank supports it, then it's going to go a lot further. Okay, so if like everyone knows, like it's every single service, E7 is like it's like the top of the mountain. Once you make E7 or above, you're like untouchable, right? So if there's a sergeant first class that has your back and he goes in there, then your chances of your case or whatever holding more water will happen. And so, you know, I was saying something earlier in our private comments is the sad thing about, and even in Sharp, they teach about it. They teach about how the person alienates himself, but the unit actually alienates a person who actually stands up for what's right. If a woman tells and says, "Hey, this happened to me," she doesn't just get alienated by men; she gets alienated by women. And so this person's now going through it all by themselves. And the only time, and honestly, that's why if you look at even the suicide rate of women who've had, you know, violent partners or women who have been sexually assaulted, if you look at the rate of suicide, a lot of them had to deal with that. Of their unit alienating them, like they just said, sticking them on duty. You know, when they come to formation, if there's anything wrong with them, they throw the whole book at them. You can have an unbloused boot, and next you know they're in the front line arrest position. You could show up to formation 30 seconds late, just come running up after they say fall in, and now you have extra duty. All these different things they start to do to you to try and get under your skin. So they're trying to protect. Now, also, I'll tell you this: if the assaulter has rank, it's also gonna mess up the female. If the assaulter is a private or something like that, oh yeah, they'll get it. They'll get them. They'll throw the book at them. And I've even seen it. If the assaulter is of color, they're gonna throw the book at them, and they'll get them. So you really see it's also a rank, and you know it's a game with both rank and sex. All right, you see that a lot. So you know, like if you're lower ranking, they're gonna get you because you have an understanding. But if you're higher ranking, oh man, he would have never done this. Why would he throw away his whole career for that one situation? Ain't no way he did that. Man, this dude, he has a reputation of getting women all the time. There's no way he would have done that. Or let's protect them and their spouse, especially if they're an officer. Oh man, he's an officer. His wife is like head of the FRG. There's no way he would have done it. You know, so they come up with all these excuses if you have rank. But if you're
and for people that think because it's a female commander, that if you got a female commander, she'll take it more seriously, bro. A female commander takes it less seriously.
Yes,
they'll say shit like, "Well, you shouldn't have been there." You know, we're us females in the army, or, you know, Navy, whatever. I know it's not females in the army. Well, you know that we got it harder. You know that we have a higher standard. You know that this is gonna happen. So it's your job as a female to protect yourself. It's your job, and this is the mindset. The mindset of the female officers is, as a female, I understand, and I would never put myself in that situation. So you're wrong. It's victim blaming 101.
My wife, sorry, I saw I was talking to someone. My wife came in, and before I really just got into the meat and potatoes, I was like, "Can I share some of your stories?" And she was like, "Sure." There was a guy who sent dick pics to every female, you know, and now there's a court martial. Now, another thing that happens, and this bleeds over into my wife's second part, is that she was raped by her boyfriend. They were partying. They passed out, or she passed out, woke up, he was on top of her, like straight up raped her. You know what I mean? And the reason why she didn't report it, why? When I was assaulted and I reported it, you guys blew me off. So they literally create this vacuum to where, you know, either they condemn the woman, blame the woman, it's her fault, or nothing happens, right? And if nothing happens, they're let down. Now, when anything else happens, why report it? Nothing happened the first time. And like DA said, you know, suicide rate, you know, I don't know if you guys remember Lloyd and Jolly. I don't know if you remember at Fort Lee where the chick stormed the building, CASCOM, and went up there looking for Sergeant. Oh God, Sergeant Major. Goddamn, I forgot his name. Went in there because she was gonna shoot him because he did some shit to her. She barricaded herself in the office and shot herself in the head. And we all, like, you know, the people who know the game, we knew what it was. Ain't nobody gonna just storm up to CASCOM. You know what I'm saying? Getting ready to pop. And you know, the Sergeant Major was a cat daddy. Like, you could look at it, and that's another thing. You know, you had these these Sergeant Majors and these different senior leaders. You know, I'm from Oakland, so, you know, uniform or not, I could spot a J Cat and I'll be like, man, he one of them. He one of them. It'd always be those guys. But yeah, man, it's hard. It's hard out there for females, man. And when rank is ingrained in you at an early age, you literally respect that rank. Like when I was a staff sergeant, I could walk up to a PFC and be like, "What you just say?" Nothing, Sergeant. Nothing. It was too easy. Like if I was a horrible person, too easy. You know what I'm saying? Jolly and DA tell you can walk up to some of these PV2s and PFCs and just walk up to them and be like, "What you just say to me?" Nothing, Sergeant. You know what I mean? So I've seen it firsthand. I've witnessed it firsthand in the sense of like the women going through this and being blackballed or shamed or Article 15 because she overslept. You know what I mean? It's horrible. And that's one of the things I can honestly say I hate about the Army is that women are literally done wrong. No one believes them. They're casted out, ostracized, purposely ridiculed by way of, you know, it's not written down, but like I said, you know, you have CQ or you're always on a shitty detail. And these are damn good fucking soldiers. Like these women are not only upholding the standard, They bust their ass. They're always dressed right, their PT is on point, qualify with the weapons. Not saying that if they're not, but these are what we say as non-commissioned officers. These are future leaders that are just being shattered, and no one's doing anything.
And they get out after the shit
let's
happens.
not
Nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
let's not forget about the women who were also found dead after being sexually assaulted or raped
Yes.
as well. Coming out of Fort Hood, it was some that just happened not too long ago, but it's people think it's a joke. It's something to play about. Like myself, I didn't say anything at all while I was in the Navy because who was gonna believe me? Especially dealing with it when I was younger. Who was truly gonna believe what was coming out of my mouth when it came to these chiefs asking me this or these officers asking me this? Who was gonna really believe me in any of that? Nobody was. So it was better for
Nobody.
me to just stay quiet and and let it just marinate and sink in. And when I got out, the VA wasn't even like the Milwaukee VA was trying to give me the minimum. So when I'm telling them about, this is what I face, this is what I get, they still denied me. I was still denied. They didn't believe that story because why didn't you say this while you were in?
Actually, and that's something that I want to also discuss is the VA. Y'all went through the traumas that you went through while serving, and from the general consensus from what I've seen and what I've heard is that y'all were left to hang to dry by the VA. So I know that V has to work early in the morning and she's got to go soon. So I'm going to go ahead and have her answer first, and then we'll kind of keep on going. V, can you give us your experience with the VA? And also real quick, I just want to say when Eddie said PFC, that was the first abbreviation in this entire episode that I knew what the fuck it was.
If you if you think private first class, you're wrong. It's actually a friend of the colonel. So I digress.
I was gonna say pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, that too. Gotcha.
Okay, so I'm gonna sit here and say I don't know shit.
Jessica. After they talk about their thing with the VA, let me have a word with them so I can help them out. Knowing that I just came from working with people that do VA claims. And I could probably give them a quick nugget of how to push that through and things that they need to actually do with those VA claims, especially if it's an assault claim, and how to fill out that paperwork and what it needs and things that you might have to put in the paperwork. But okay, but let me hear it.
Absolutely.
Hold on. The woman I sent the link to, the woman who I sent the link to that almost popped in, she works for the VA. I totally forgot, but she's in the YouTube right now, so she's probably gonna put some stuff up if she's still in. It's Malika. There you go.
Yep.
38. She works for the VA. She works with veterans. So any VA stuff, reach out to her too, along with DA. And they got some resources for you, whoever's in the YouTube channel, veterans, etc. So plug out to her for being in and willing to help and give us insight dealing with veterans. I'm sorry. There you go. It's on you, V.
Look, you good, honey. I love being quiet. Sorry, I have to leave early. I do have a 4:30 a.m. wake up call still.
Yeah.
I know. My experience with the VA sucked ass in the beginning. I mean, it's getting better now. But when I first was discharged from the military, I was told that I was given the discharge that I was given so I could still receive all of my benefits. They knew and they appreciated me, and they knew what I had been through and why I was in the predicament that I was in, basically, is what they told me. I get to the VA here in my local area. The man took one look at my discharge and told me I was a drug addict and to get the fuck out of his office. I went back maybe 3 months later, and same man looks at me again, and he said, "Didn't I tell you to leave my office?" And something inside me told me to just be myself in that moment. And I politely picked up a chair and threw it at him. So I was not allowed in the VA until he retired. He retired in 2014. I was in Dallas at that time, and I was trying to work with the VA out there. Couldn't get nothing from them, so I came back home to New Orleans, tried again. The guy was gone. It was a woman. I said, "Look, I've been trying to get benefits. Anything. Give me 10%. I'll take what I can get. You know, give me something for what I had to go through. This is what you told me I was going to be able to do. I haven't even been able to use my GI Bill. And that was the main purpose of me agreeing to the discharge that I got. So we go maybe about 2 years, and I finally get 30%. I had my daughter in 2015. I got 70%. I got increased to 70% last year. And I was able to finally put my daughter on there as my child, because there was a big bullshit with that as well. So she wasn't even on there as my dependent for the first couple of years. I was told they were going to back pay me from the initial time that I had originally applied for benefits, which was the first time I went there, and he told me to leave his office, in my mind. But that wasn't what it was. It was back paid from that same year in January, and I got it in November. So it was, depending on what state you're in, what city you're in, you're going to get better people, like a better understanding from the people that you're working with. But the VA as a whole, in my mind, sucks. Like, why do we have it if we're not able to get what we need from it?
We just need an infinite amount of bees with an infinite amount of chairs to chuck at these motherfuckers.
I like throwing a chair or two. I mean, WWE was my shit back in the day.
I decided to not even mess with the VA. I said, you know what? You know, in Kansas, it was cool, I guess. I come down to Houston and I just see, I mean, the veteran crisis is so crazy, and these VA people really don't care. There's veterans that literally just wait out there all morning just so the VA can open, just so they can have a place to go for the rest of the day. So it's a huge problem. But the VA, what I've learned was that they always turn over people. You know, the initial, because when you med board or when you have your initial entry to the VA, you have a physical and you have your mental health. All right. I tell everyone this. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. When you talk to the VA, a person don't know but what you tell them. Get that money. Tell them, get that money. Get that money. Because they're just checking the blocks. And what I found out dealing with the VA is that you'll be dealing, let's just say I deal with Jolly. He a white dude. I'm a black dude. You know. But you know what? Fuck it, you know. We start rocking and rolling. And the moment me and Jolly get a connection, the moment I'm like, you know what? We broke barriers. I open up myself. I feel comfortable. I fucking like Jolly. I go back to my appointment next month. He's fucking gone. Now there's a new person there. Who the fuck are you? Oh, yes, I'm Mr. So-and-so. Jolly moved on somewhere. So now he's just reading my notes. The connection that I had opening up is severed. And it's basically like, I got to start all over again. And this is what veterans go through. In the VA, they're just all about checking the blocks, checking the block. So what I tell people is if you have any service connection, you know, over 30, go out to the economy. That's what I do. And you'll find people who would give you the counseling sessions you need for nothing, for free, because, you know, you get more frequent visits, and you don't have to worry about the VA breaking your continuity, or you're trying to develop something, and someone says the VA is overwhelmed. So at some point you have to say, you know what, depending on if you have it, if you're still trying to initially get your percentages, I understand. But once you get them, I say move on from the VA, go to the civilian sector, because you can get the adequate care you need, or the care you need, without all the freaking drama, man. Because it's a struggle with veterans.
Well,
Yeah.
Eddie,
Hold on real quick, Jolly. Hold on real quick.
Sorry.
I just want to go ahead and hold on real quick, Lloyd. I just want to go ahead and thank V for coming on. I'm not trying to get yelled at tomorrow morning when she's super tired.
It's coming.
Because
But I do know Lloyd wanted to talk to me about something, so I'll stay for that.
No, well,
And
real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
It's good.
Thank you.
Why it's at the top of my head, Eddie, that's great. Great advice. Is just at the same time, make sure you get good medical documentation of your visits, of who you're going to now, because what's going on right now is the VA is going through everybody's records, and people who are not using the VA or not their care, they're getting letters saying that they might stop your benefits, whether you're PNT or not, because you're not showing that you're using the VA. So you got to be ready to show them those records that you're still getting treated for whatever you're being treated for. Because if you don't make that constant, that's the reason why you have a list of everything that you have in the VA. Always once a quarter, make an appointment with your VA doctor just to go talk to him and say, yep, my foot still hurts. Yep, my bunion still hurts. Yep, my shoulder still hurt. Yep, this still hurts. Yep, I'm still taking my medication for this. So they can continue to put it in the system to say that you're being treated. All right. If not, you got to come with that long record. And young lady, for you, right? So what I can tell you is there's two ways you can attack that. Are you getting services for it now?
I have 70% disability for my PTSD from military sexual trauma. Yes.
Okay, great.
And I
that's awesome.
10% for my back pain. So
okay.
Technically, I'm at 90 in their mind.
Okay. Read your rating letter. All right. Read your, it's called your your decision letter. Your decision letter tells you what you need to have to get to the next percentage. It says right now you're at 70%. To get 80%, you must be experiencing this, this, and this. The only person that knows you're experiencing this, this, and this is you and what you tell to the doctor. I'm experiencing this, this, and this. When? All the time. How often? Out of a week? At least 7 times out of 7 days, sometime during the day, I experience that.
And twice on Sundays.
Exactly. So you tell them that, and then next thing you know, it'll go up. What you need for 90%? So what you need to do, you need to read what do you need to get to the next level of each thing, and that's what you start with. If you're trying to make it go up, that's what you start talking about. All right? And you have to do that. Got to be consistent. And once you get like your 3rd appointment with a therapist, and I don't care what anyone say, when I'm in front of that therapist, my tears come down too, because you ain't messing with my money. I'm just saying at the end of the day, I mean, because we all get therapy. That's it. We all get therapy, and honestly, like, therapists get you in touch with your feelings, and that's something that a lot of us don't walk around with. I don't care if you're, and this even females, we don't get in touch with those inner feelings. We all do surface feelings, sad, happy, mad, alone, whatever that might. But I'm talking about those intimate feelings of coping with what actually happened to us, because we as creatures, we mask it. We mask a lot of it. And how do we mask it? We take painkillers. We have destructive ways that we live to get over it. All those are ways that you coped with it. And if they know, hey, so what did you do to cope with that? Heck, I smoked weed. I did this. Because we do things to cope with stuff. And so those are the things that, you got to just be telling them, yeah, this how, because without those, all right, so here we go. Without that stuff being documented in the system, the next person is going to have a harder time trying to get it too. So you got, everything that you're talking about is not just for you, but it's helping that next soldier that has that next complaint. Because they're gonna say, hey, we have a lot of people who are self-medicating. They're counseling is not medicating, they're self-medicating. And how are they self-medicating? They're doing it with cannabis, they're doing it with alcohol, they're doing it with this. Self-destructive behaviors. 5 times out of a week, he punches a wall. 5 times out of a week, he's doing this. They find themselves feeling alone. They're kicking cans down the street. Well, you got to stop kicking that can, and you got to tell them, I want to address it now. And that'd be my advice to you. Get that percentage, get that money, because I'm sure everybody else is, trust me, I know a lot of people that are. I tell Jolly all the time, get that claim in, Jolly. Stop bullshitting. And that's all.
Facts.
I appreciate y'all having me in the conversation. Thank y'all. Thank you, Jessica, for the platform. Once again, my sincere respect to everyone on this panel that has served. Have a blessed one. Happy Veterans Day come Thursday. If I don't see y'all, somebody
good to
eat a
meet
good
you, V.
meal for me because I'm gonna be working all day. So
Nice to meet you too. Greatly
y'all
appreciate
have
it.
a good one.
You too.
I'm
Nice to
gonna
meet
hit you up.
All right. So Lauren and Jolly, we didn't go ahead and we didn't get you guys's opinions or experiences with the VA. Do one of y'all want to go ahead and kind of break it down?
So the one thing I was going to say about the VA and is not really about the VA. I just want to say this. This has to be said. This needs to be put out there. It needs to be talked about more. A lot of people say, "Oh, you serve the country; they should take care of you." Sure, okay, cool, I get that. A lot of people say, there's this idea that if you go serve for your country, they're going to take it. We need to openly talk about and accept the fact that our country just wants to keep warm bodies in uniforms. That is the country's goal. All right. The reason that we heroify the idea of being a soldier, and I'm not speaking for everybody, I'm only speaking for myself, but the number one thing I hate more than anything in the world is thank you for your service. Hate that shit. If I could go the rest of my life with nobody else saying it to me, I'd be the happiest motherfucker alive. Right. But that's because we've glorified this sense of serving, right? There's this patriotic bullshit. And the fact is, I'm an Iraq veteran. I've been to Iraq. I've fired on the 2A range. So I mean, I've earned my stripes, and I've been to Afghanistan as well. I'm an Afghanistan veteran as well, and I find no sense of pride in that. As I've grown and gotten older and opened my eyes and educated myself, I understand I wasn't in 2 wars. I was in 2 occupations. I wasn't in 2 countries defending America. I was in 2 countries expanding American interests. Okay, and there's a lot of veterans who haven't came to that realization, and I'll let everyone go on their journey at their own pace. But please understand that the idea of soldiers are heroes and thank you for your service, that is an idea that the government needs to uphold so that more warm bodies will get in uniforms, especially black, brown, and poor people in that order. Okay. And why? Well, when you're poor, listen, when you're poor, money is your enemy. Please understand that. Poor people hate money. The number one motherfucker to say, I don't give a fuck how much money they got is a poor person. The number one person to say money can't buy happiness is a poor person. Okay? Because money can't buy happiness, you're right, but poverty can't buy shit. Okay? So the idea, the reason the government is so good at recruiting poor people is because when money ain't shit, what is something? Just being somebody. As a poor person, you don't feel like I grew up poor as fuck. Poor as fuck. And so just being somebody, just being important, fuck, that's a great fucking feeling. So if we can convince everybody that by putting the uniform on, you're a badass motherfucker and everybody loves you, and every goddamn year, I swear to God, I'll give you a bunch of free meals on November 11th, then, and everybody says, thank you for your service. I remember we come back from Iraq one time, and halfway through your flights back, you'll transition to a civilian flight at some point. And it was like my first deployment, and we were coming back and we transitioned at the Atlanta airport, and they took us from our military flight to our civilian flight, and they walked us through the Atlanta airport, and there was a whole fucking unit in single file, whole goddamn airport. I mean, the whole airport. Granted, this is like 2004, right? We just invaded fucking Iraq. And the whole airport is on their feet, clapping, cheering. Your fucking hair raises on your neck. It's this super, like, fucking surreal experience. They're clapping for you. Like, that's necessary. The government needs that fucking mentality to keep warm bodies in uniform to expand American interest. So understand that's what matters, is warm bodies in uniforms. When you come back, this fucking Fantasyland pipe dream that they're going to take care of you, this fucking Fantasyland pipe dream that they give a fuck about you, veterans, and I'm speaking to my fellow veterans, wake the fuck up. I hear so many veterans say, well, God damn it, why don't they should care about me? Shut the fuck up. They don't. And you know that. So now let's put that dumbass argument aside and let's start real arguments that mean something. The country, the government does not, capital does, capital not, period between both words, clappy fucking emoji, does not give a fuck once you're back. You're not a warm body in a uniform anymore. So I don't sit around and fucking have VA bitch sessions. A lot of veterans get together and have the VA bitch sessions. How bad the VA is. Doesn't shock me. It's not fucking shocking to me. It's not a shocking fucking factor. The government doesn't give a fuck about me. Watch Mr. Checkpoint on Instagram. Huge account. He's got 400,000 followers on Instagram, and he spends half his platform highlighting that in Los Angeles, where he lives, in Beverly fucking Hills, where there's a bunch of money, they have a campus on the Veterans Affair campus out there, a big-ass campus. And right outside this open, green, well-catered campus where there's open space and nobody's using it is 800 homeless veterans. Right outside of it. The VA could home them. The VA could take all that space where they're not doing shit. Listen to me. The country doesn't give a fuck that we serve. And I don't lose sleep over that shit. I don't give a fuck about them either. But let's stop this fucking la-la dreamland where they owe us something. That's a good argument, but they don't and they won't. Okay? So that's where we're at.
And I'm glad that you said that. And that you actually kind of segued into what my next question
Jess, can I respond?